Hello, curious minds. Welcome to The Human Curious, where we explore the mysteries of our world and beyond. If you love unraveling the unknown, make sure to subscribe, share, and like this video to join our community of seekers. Let's step into the heart of the city and see what secrets await. Every city has one, a green lung breathing life into the concrete and steel. It is a space dedicated to community and joy. Picture it now. The sound of children's laughter rings out from the playground. A young couple shares a quiet picnic. A lone jogger traces a familiar path. This is the city park, a sanctuary from the relentless pace of the modern world, a stage for first dates, family gatherings, and solitary moments. It is the heart of the city, not just geographically but emotionally. But what if that foundation was not as solid as it seemed? Imagine that same sunlit afternoon, yet a subtle change begins, a deep resonant hum that seems to rise from the earth itself. The first signs would be dismissed, ignored, a trick of the light perhaps. The happy mundane sounds of the park would begin to feel distant. That low, deep hum grows, unsettling the birds. The vibrant colors would start to desaturate. It would simply begin to fray at the edges, starting to warp and distort. Someone would pull out their phone. The space around the park's central fountain is wrong. The air itself seems to bend and twist. It darkens, coalescing into a patch of living shadow. The water in the fountain stills, its surface turning smooth and black. The happy sounds are gone now, swallowed by a profound and unnatural silence. This is the moment the world pivots. There is no bang, no scream. They turn towards the fountain, drawn to the spot where the fabric of their reality is visibly tearing apart. The ordinary afternoon has ended. What if, on that perfectly normal afternoon, a door creaked open? Not a door of wood or steel, but a door made of torn space and violated physics. A gateway to a place that should not exist. A realm confined to forgotten lore and the deepest recesses of our collective subconscious. What if the ground we trusted, the park we loved, became the threshold? The very air would crackle with an energy that felt ancient and malevolent, an energy that our science has no name for, and our religions have feared for millennia. The boundary between the world of the living and the domain of the dead has just been erased. Today, we peel back the skin of our comfortable reality. We stare into the abyss that has just opened in the heart of our civilization. We ask the question that would redefine the future of our species. What if the gates to the underworld opened in a city park? This is not a thought experiment about a distant, hypothetical future. It is a terrifying plunge into the immediate aftermath. We will explore the first 24 hours of confusion and terror, the first contact with beings that defy all explanation, and the dawning, world-shattering realization that humanity is no longer alone in its reality. The consequences would be absolute. Every aspect of our existence would be thrown into question. Our science, our faith, our governments, our very understanding of life and death would be irrevocably shattered. The opening of such a gate is not merely an event, it is a fundamental rewriting of the universe as we know it. It proves that our brightly lit world is just a small room in a vast, dark, and ancient house. And for the first time in human history, the door to the cellar has been thrown wide open, and we can hear the sounds of something stirring in the depths below. Join us as we journey step by step into this new, terrifying world. We will witness the initial response, from bewildered first responders to scientists whose instruments are screaming with impossible data. We will confront the nature of the entities that might emerge from such a portal, be they lost souls, monstrous guardians, or something far, far worse. This is the story of how our world ends, not with a bang, but with the creak of an opening door. A door that leads directly to the land of the dead, now open for business in the middle of a city park. The underworld has arrived. It would begin with confusion. The first 911 calls would be a chaotic jumble of contradictory reports. Callers described a patch of darkness near the fountain that seemed to drink the light around it. The operators would be utterly unprepared for this. First responders would be met with a scene that defies their training. Their immediate priority would be to establish a perimeter, but the threat itself is undefinable. As they get closer, they would feel the bone-deep chill and oppressive silence. This is something else entirely. They are the front line against a phenomenon that has no physical form to confront. The very laws of nature begin to break down before their eyes. The police chief would call in the specialists. Humanity admits it is utterly and completely out of its depth. When the scientists arrive, they bring the tools of reason, confident that any phenomenon can be explained through data. They deploy sensors to measure temperature, radiation, magnetic fields, and atmospheric composition. Their instruments, however, tell a story that is utterly impossible. The readings push the boundaries of known physics to their breaking point. Thermal cameras show a cold spot of such intensity that it shouldn't be possible. The temperature plummets to levels approaching absolute zero, contained within an invisible, perfectly circular boundary. Magnetometers spin wildly, indicating a massive, localized gravitational and magnetic distortion. It would be as if a small black hole had decided to park itself in the middle of the city. The scientific team is strained by data that feels like a prank from the universe itself. Every law of physics they hold dear is being violated. They lack the very framework of knowledge to even begin asking the right questions. Night falls. The park is now a fortress of floodlights and soldiers, the world's eyes glued to its silent center. From the darkness, a translucent figure emerges. An old man, flickering, lost, out of time. More follow, a child, a soldier, a woman, ghosts from forgotten eras wandering unseeing through the living. Scientists and generals watch, speechless. Theories collapse. This is no anomaly, no weapon. The underworld has opened. Its residents, shades, echoes of the dead now walk among us. The world realizes the myths are real, the legends true. Death is not an end, but a door, and tonight that door stands open. What is this portal? A single myth's afterlife or a crossroads of all? The first entities, confused, indifferent, impossible, offer only riddles. Theologians and mythologists become vital ancient texts, now survival guides. This is not invasion, but a bleed, a crisis of reality, not war. Soldiers face concepts, not enemies. Scientists catalog the impossible. The dead drift out, silent, flickering, their presence rewriting the rules of life and death. Humanity's first challenge, comprehension, not combat. The dead walk, and the living can only watch. If the portal leads to Hades, the first arrivals are tragic, not monstrous. Shades, faded, lost souls, wander the city, searching for what they've forgotten. They ignore the living, drifting through soldiers, causing chaos without intent, but not all are harmless. From the darkness, Cerberus may emerge, a mythic beast, a new terror. The crisis becomes both heartbreak and horror, ghosts of ancestors, monsters of legend. The world is caught between pity for the lost and fear of what else may come. Tragedy and terror now walk hand in hand. Or perhaps the portal opens to Helheim, a realm of ice and shadow. Draugr, skeletal, frostbitten dead, shamble forth, territorial and cold. Mist and decay seep into the city, the air heavy with ancient dread. These are not lost souls but guardians, testing the boundaries of their new domain. Their touch brings frost, their presence spreads winter. The living face not just ghosts, but a hostile, conquering cold. The park becomes a frozen outpost of the Norse underworld. Dread is no longer abstract, it is physical, relentless, and growing. The worst fear, what if the portal leads to hell? Not the dead, but their tormentors emerge. Demons, tempters, beings of shadow and malice. The first assault is psychological. Whispers, paranoia, corruption. Then come the nightmares, creatures of fire and hate, immune to human weapons. The quarantine zone becomes a war zone, a battle for souls, not survival. All myths converge. Humanity faces the ultimate enemy. The question is no longer what, but how to fight. The war for the world's soul has begun. Once the truth is undeniable, our world changes forever. The initial confusion would be swept away by a global wave of panic. Footage of wandering shades and demonic entities would leak, spreading across the internet like a virus. All 7 billion people would be united by a single, terrifying certainty: the afterlife is real. This knowledge would bring a crippling global fear. The world's markets would collapse, stock exchanges would plummet, currencies would become worthless overnight. The global finance would simply snap, plunging the world into an economic depression. Governments would scramble to maintain control. They are utterly useless against a metaphysical crisis. This shared fear would cause the world to fracture. Borders would slam shut, nations would turn inward, hoarding resources. The global reaction would be a retreat into tribalism. Humanity would panic, and in that panic, the old world would begin to die. Pause for a moment. What do you think would happen if a portal to another world opened in your local park? Let us know your wildest theories in the comments below. Now let's dive back in. The opening of the gate would trigger a profound intellectual crisis. Science and religion would collide. For centuries they existed in an uneasy truce. Now, the spiritual had become physical, a measurable phenomenon. Scientists would race to understand this tear in space-time. Their worldview would be shattered. Simultaneously, the world's religions would face a crisis. A version of the afterlife was on display for all to see. This collision would create strange alliances. Ancient texts from mythology and theology would become the most valuable documents, searching for clues on how to understand the entities. But this merging of science and faith would not be harmonious. It would be a battlefield of ideas. Humanity desperately tries to build a new framework of understanding. The city would become the most famous and most feared place on Earth. The initial police cordon would prove laughably inadequate. A decision is made at the highest levels of global power. The area must be contained, completely and permanently. This would trigger the largest and fastest engineering project in human history. A massive military quarantine is established, dwarfing the Great Wall of China. A great wall, hundreds of feet high, would begin to rise around the afflicted part of the city. It would be a marvel of defensive engineering, designed by the world's brightest minds to contain a threat they barely understand. The foundations would be dug deep into the bedrock. The surface would be embedded with a complex network of sensors. Automated defense turrets would be placed every 100 yards. It would be a fortress designed to hold back a nightmare, a scar on the face of the planet. The area within the wall would become a no-man's land, a sacrifice zone. The residents who lived within the new quarantine border would be evacuated. The zone would become a ghost city, patrolled only by drones. It is now the most heavily guarded border in human history. The soldiers who man this wall would be a new breed of warrior, trained in combat, psychology, and theology. The wall would become a symbol of humanity's fear and its resilience. How does society function when the afterlife is a verifiable physical location? It doesn't, not as it did before. A terrifying societal breakdown would occur. Suicide rates would spike as the gate presents a tangible exit. Crime rates would explode in unpredictable ways. The concept of final punishment would be altered. The social contract would be torn to shreds. Belief systems would be thrown into chaos. Millions would abandon their lifelong beliefs. The old world would be gone forever, remembered as a time of innocence. The new world, defined by constant dread. A slow, agonizing process of psychological and cultural disintegration. The initial chaos, the global panic, these are the violent birth pangs of a new era. Humanity adapts and the world becomes stranger. After the first year, a fragile stability emerges. This is the new normal. The quarantine wall stands as a permanent scar, visible from orbit. The city transforms into the most important location on the planet, a fortress state. It's a place of immense importance and danger, where humanity's future is being written. Daily life is irrevocably altered. Children are raised on new fairy tales, stories that are warnings. The global conversation is dominated by the gate. Society finds a new equilibrium, but they do so with a new understanding of their place in the cosmos. The gate is the ultimate strategic asset. It is a source of knowledge, power, and terror. As global panic recedes, national rivalry re-emerges, more dangerous than ever. A new Cold War begins, fought over control of the Underworld. Nations vie for control and knowledge. The alliance fractures, each desperate to gain an edge. Who can study it? Spies steal secrets about the nature of the soul. Who can communicate with what's inside? The nation that cracks the code would hold an unimaginable advantage. A successful attempt could unleash a corrupting influence. This Cold War would be fought in the shadows for dominion over the secrets of the afterlife. The existence of the gate forces the creation of an entirely new branch of human inquiry. A field of study that merges the most advanced physics with the most ancient theology. It is given many names: Stygian studies, thanatology, portal physics. This new science becomes the most funded and most prestigious field on the planet. Its goal is singular and monumental: to understand the underworld, to chart its geography, to classify its inhabitants, and to decode the laws that govern it. The greatest minds of the generation are drawn to its challenge, working in heavily shielded laboratories built into the very foundations of the containment wall. A new field of science is born. The tools of this new science are unlike anything seen before. Scientists in advanced protective gear, looking more like astronauts than academics, use high-energy particle beams to probe the edges of the portal's event horizon. They deploy autonomous drones shielded against psychic and metaphysical influence to gather samples of the blackened soil and the strange mists. They build vast supercomputer arrays dedicated to running simulations of dimensional mechanics, trying to model how reality could tear in such a specific and stable way. It is a science that pushes the very limits of human ingenuity, operating at the absolute frontier of what is knowable. This new field forces us to redefine our most fundamental concepts. We would be forced to redefine what it means to be alive and what it means to be dead. Life is no longer seen as a purely biological process, but as one state of being in a larger cosmic cycle. Death is no longer an endpoint, but a transition to a different observable place. These scientists are not just physicists. They are the new philosophers, their equations and experiments tackling questions that were once the sole domain of priests and poets. Their work would have profound implications for medicine, psychology, and our entire understanding of consciousness. The gate becomes the central, defining fact of human existence, the new sun around which our entire civilization orbits. The discoveries made by the practitioners of Stygian studies would ripple out, transforming society in their wake. Perhaps they discover that certain emotional states attract the entities, leading to new forms of mass meditative practices. Maybe they find a way to create small, stable shields against metaphysical influence, leading to a new industry of personal protection. This new science would be humanity's greatest tool for survival, our only hope of turning the terrifying unknown into something that can be understood, managed, and perhaps one day overcome. Even with towering walls and advanced science, a terrifying question haunted everyone. If one gate opened, how many more are there? We built a wall around the first one, studied it, and adapted. But the barrier between worlds is fragile and can be breached. What's to stop it from happening again? This fear bred global paranoia. Specialized portal detection agencies formed, scanning for any sign. Humanity lived in constant vigilance, watching the sky. The new normal was a fragile illusion. A second gate, in the wrong place, could be an extinction-level event. This fear is the gate's true legacy. We haven't contained the Underworld, only one of its doors. The keys are not in our possession. We are living on borrowed time, waiting for the next knock. What if the gates to the Underworld opened in a city park? The event would scar the human psyche. It's a revelation that redefines everything. The door, once opened, can never be truly closed again. Containment is an illusion. That breach can never be sealed. The Underworld challenges our science, armies, and souls. It forces us to confront fundamental questions of our existence. We are revealed to be small, fragile beings. The new world would be one of perpetual twilight. Born from the desperate need to understand and survive, humanity would be forever changed. The haunting image is of the portal itself, a silent shimmering tear in the world. We would watch it, study it, and fear it. We would get the terrifying impression that it is also watching us, that something ancient and intelligent resides within that darkness. The door is open. Ultimately, the opening of the gate would prove one simple, devastating fact. It would prove that our reality is just a small, brightly lit room. For all of our history, we have lived in this room, exploring its corners, mapping its features, and believing it was the entirety of existence. We lit it with the fire of our science, our art, and our philosophy. We made it comfortable, we made it our own, and we convinced ourselves that we were safe within its walls. We were the masters of our domain, secure in our knowledge that we understood the fundamental layout of the house we lived in. The event in the park was the moment we realized our home was not a small cottage, but a vast, dark, and ancient house. A sprawling, complex structure with countless corridors, forgotten cellars, and locked wings we never knew existed. Our entire world, our whole universe, is just one room in this incomprehensible mansion. And the Underworld is simply another part of the house, a place with its own rules, its own inhabitants, and its own timeless history. We are not the sole occupants of this reality. We are merely tenants in one small, sunlit corner of it. For the first time, we have found a door that leads out of our room. We have peered into the hallway beyond, and it is older, darker, and stranger than we could have ever conceived. The beings we see are not invaders from another world. They are our neighbors, residents of the same cosmic structure, whose existence we were blissfully unaware of. The terror comes from the realization of our own cosmic insignificance. We are not the center of the universe, we are a footnote in a story that is far grander and more terrifying than our own. The final chilling truth is this. For the first time, the door is open, it cannot be shut. We cannot unsee what we have seen or unknow what we now know. We live in the vast, ancient house now, fully aware of its scale and its shadows, and we are left with the most terrifying question of all. Our door opened inward, letting the darkness seep into our small, bright room. What would happen if we ever found the courage or the foolishness to step through it and explore the rest of the house? Thank you for watching The Human Curious. As we stand together at the threshold of this vast and ancient house, remember, our journey is just beginning. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to subscribe for more mind-bending explorations. Share this video with friends who love the unknown, and leave a comment below with your thoughts or theories. We read everyone. Join our community of explorers as we continue to peer beyond the door, together. We'll see you in the next room. Stay curious.